So here's the issue. You have a job, you also probably want to have some form of life, and you want to be a successful creator. But finding the time to do all three of those things just seems impossible. But then we have Bob, and we all have a Bob in our space. Bob is that creator who seems to do everything the same as you, and yet he effortlessly gets tens or hundreds of thousands of views, and you think, fucking Bob, what's wrong with me? Am I just lazy, or does he know something I don't? Well, now that I've been on the other side of a bunch of Bob-esque creators, I've seen that they tend to stack the deck in their favor. And what I mean by that is, you might see my videos, for example. I break a lot of rules. Most of my competitors have way better setups, recording, lighting than me. They post more frequently than I do. And yet, despite my lazy content, I still get a decent amount of views relative to my niche. And I want to share one of the primary tactics I use that helps me do this. Now, to do that, we need to go to Texas. So in Texas, a couple of years ago, there's this 15-year-old kid, and his dream is to become a full-time YouTuber. And one day, he decides to try and turn that dream into reality. So he goes out there, he starts posting a bunch of videos, but nothing seems to click. Like, he's getting some traction. He got about 2,000 subscribers in his first year, but not the level of growth that he really wants or needs to be a full-time creator. But then one day, he comes across the Trash Talk series. Essentially, this guy Gary goes to garage sales, haggles the fuck out of 12-year-olds, and resells his purchases for a profit.
I'm an entrepreneur.
So anyway, our kid sees Gary's series and he's like, that's a really cool concept. I could do something like that. But then something unexpected happened. See, instead of just going out there and creating a garage sale flipping video, which is what most people would have done in this situation, our kid did two things different. Firstly, he took the concept of taking a small amount of money and trying to flip it into a larger amount of money, and he then combined it with another really popular concept, challenges. And some of you might have figured this out by now, but the kid in our story is actually Ryan Trahan. The flipping series he came up with was actually his penny series, where he'd start with a penny and try to flip it into things like enough money to survive for 30 days, $1,000 in 24 hours, traveling 3,600 miles, and a bunch more. And Ryan's penny series became one of the most successful series in YouTube history. And I love this story so much because it always reminds me that as a lazy creator, trying to compete with the bigger creators just doesn't make sense. They're full-time creators, you only have weeknights and weekends. They have years of experience, you're a beginner. They have teams, you're solo. They have resources and money, you're
You're fucking poor!
So unless they get complacent or you get a bit lucky, most of you are going to have a really hard time trying to beat those guys at their own game. So the trick is, don't compete with them. Instead, like Ryan, you should invent a new game where you are the only player, or at least one of very few players. But this is where a lot of people make a big mistake. They hear this and they think,
so I've just got to imagine original video ideas. I got it.
It's like, no, most of the unique original ideas you come up with off the top of your dome suck. Yes, you specifically, your ideas suck. No, but seriously, there's an interesting caveat here that seems really tiny, but if you get this wrong, it actually makes everything we just talked about basically useless, regardless of how original and unique you are. And to explain this, I want to share another story. I know we're turning into a story time channel here. But back in 1970, Bernard Shadow was lugging a heavy, old-fashioned suitcase through a Puerto Rican airport. It's hot, he's struggling, there's sweat running down his face, and so for a moment, he pauses. He puts his suitcase down, takes a deep breath, and then he looks up and he sees this airport worker who's effortlessly rolling this large piece of equipment on a wheeled skid. And Bernard's first thought is, asshole. But then his second thought is, wheels. What if I put those on the bottom of my luggage? See, up until the 1970s, luggage didn't have wheels on it. So instead of return to his home, he prototyped something up. And after a lot of rejection, Macy's took the idea. Customers loved it. And now, look at any airport. All luggage has wheels, essentially. Now, this technique has been called thinking sideways. And it's the key, almost non-negotiable caveat that I think a lot of us miss when it comes to this whole create unique video ideas to get views discussion. See, instead of trying to come up with completely unique ideas off the top of your head, you want to look for things that are already highly successful in other spaces. So you're not spontaneously, imaginatively coming up with new ideas. Instead, you're mixing and matching things that have already been proven to work. So suitcase, proven to work. Wheels, proven to work. Put those two things together. Ryan Trahan. Flipping videos, proven to work. Then combine that with other things proven to work, like traveling or survival challenges, and he proceeds to break the internet. But if we bring all this together, how does this all help lazy or time-poor creators? Well, one of my favorite Warren Buffett quotes is, it doesn't matter how hard you row, it matters what boat you're in. In 2025, competition is tough. You can't afford to try and out-row tens or hundreds of competitors. So instead, find a way to stack the deck in your favor, which you can do by thinking sideways and inventing a category. Look at what's really popping off, like really working well in other spaces, and see what concepts you can mix and match until you find something that has a high amount of demand, i.e. a lot of people want to watch this type of video, but a really low amount of supply, i.e. very few or no competitors making good videos on this thing. But I get it. This probably makes sense as a theory, but how do you practically do that? Like, what do you do step by step to actually identify these different popular concepts? And how do you figure out which ones you should combine? Well, I could show you in this video, but I don't want to. I'm lazy. But there is a video on screen that you can click. It's going to walk you step by step through me actually doing this, giving you real examples. So click that video and I'll see you there.